So, today we're going to talk about something incredibly important. We're going to talk about nutrition, we're going to talk about satiety, we're going to talk about eating the right things to, not necessarily lose weight, but also losing weight, but just being healthy and feeling good. Because, how could you also possibly feel good mentally if you're fucking broken physically? Like, why? Start working out, start doing something, start eating healthy, and you're gonna lose weight, gonna build muscle, gonna be happier, gonna feel better about yourself. And you're accomplishing something. And it is long-term amazing for you, for your health, and for everything. But, I really do want to talk about that. I really do want to spread that a bit. I've been working on this podcast for quite a bit now. It's been over 2 years, 2 years and a few months to be exact. But I might have not put in everything into it that I could to some degree. But I put such a lot of time into it, and I really do want to start, quite producing more things that I find valuable and find, quite necessary to talk about, because I want to just spread that. And even though you don't watch the full video or listen to the full podcast episode, please check out the articles. I'm going to link them down in the description. It's going to take you like a millisecond to go through them. It's probably going to be faster than listening to this podcast or, watching this YouTube video. But please stay on it. Please stay on it. Please figure out what you could be doing to have a better diet. What could you do to start working out? It's amazing. I'm a person that is doing quite a lot of sports because I like it. It is something that I naturally am also talented in and naturally therefore like because I'm good at it. And this is definitely the case for everyone. But feeling good is for everyone. Feeling good and being happy is for everyone. So, the satiety index. What foods are the most satiating? And they are baselined by 100. And 100, so the score 100, is from apparently wheat bread, or white bread, which is ranked 100 of the satiety scale. So let's see. And guess what? There is also food that is lower in satiety and that is satiating you even less than fucking white bread, and this already is fucked up and shitty because it's having a lot of calories. It depends on what you're eating, of course, I just don't want to generalize there. But anyways, so a croissant is, for example, having 47%. 47%. It is half as satiating as fucking white bread is. Then cake, 65%, donut, 68%, cookies, 120%. It's even more satiating than white bread. Crackers, 127. This is for bakery goods or products. There we have carbohydrate-rich foods and snacks, as well as confection, protein-rich foods, breakfast cereals, and also fruits. So we're going to see. White bread is, as we said, 100. French fries, 116%. White pasta, 119. So, why am I actually going through this? I want to show you some ingredients, if you want to put it like that, or just some foods that are, very satiating. And of course, if you eat a lot of these foods that are very satiating, then, you're going to be satiated for a longer time. And therefore, you're not going to eat as much, And also, the thing is, I would consider, not all of them, but foods that are very, 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 very satiating are often also quite healthy as well. But we're going to see. We're going to talk about that. Then we have brown rice with 132, white rice with 138, grain bread 154%. So it is already 54% more satiating than white bread by only just buying another bread. You eat less, quite. Wholemeal bread 157. Brown pasta 188, and potatoes, which is, as far as I know, the most satiating food there is, 323%. Yes, percent on the scale, or points on the scale. They are very, very, very satiating. You're not going to be able to eat a kilo of fucking potatoes, or even a pound, which is half a kilo something, quite 400 and something, I guess. But you're not going to be able to do so. But on the contrary, you might be able to eat white bread quite a lot of it. So yeah, snacks and confectionery, Mars candy bar 70%, peanuts 84%, yogurt 88%, crisps 91%, ice cream 96%, then jelly beans, 118%, and popcorn 54%. But I'm also going to talk about something else afterwards, and I hope that I'm not gonna lose too much time. Anyway, protein-rich foods: lentils 133%, cheese 146%, eggs 150%, baked beans 168%, which, well, yeah, anyway, beef 176%, and fish 225%. This is insane. It really is. Let's see. Muesli 100%, apparently. Even though, I mean, what is muesli? Is there just one type of it? I don't necessarily think so. Sustain 112%, Special K 116%, cornflakes 118%, then Honey Smacks 132%, All Bran 151%, and porridge/oatmeal 209%. Then fruits: bananas 118%, which is actually not that much. Grapes 162%, apples being actually pretty high at 197%, and as well as oranges with 202%. Of course, this is not the biggest list, the longest list. But anyway, I can't talk today. I don't know why, even though it is something that I really do want to talk about. Anyway, using this study, the May 1996 issue of the University of California Berkeley Wellness Letter gave suggestions for Weight Watchers trying to get the most satisfaction from the fewest calories. Potatoes gave the highest satisfaction, 7 times higher than the least filling croissant. Whole grain breads are 50% more filling than white breads. Cakes, donuts, and cookies are among the least filling. For fruits, oranges and apples outscore bananas. Fish is more satisfying or satiating per calorie than lean beef or chicken. Popcorn is twice as filling as a candy bar or peanuts. So go for popcorn. Also, on the other hand, I think it is even lower in calories. So you're going to be, in the end, if you think about it, I don't know what a Mars bar is in calories, but it's going to be, 100, 200 or something. And it is like 80 grams, 50 grams, something like that. I don't even know how much one of these bars weigh. But on the other hand, if you think about popcorn being, first of all, way more satiating, twice as filling or twice as satiating, and on the other hand, just eat 80 grams of fucking popcorn. The same amount as you're eating off the candy bar. It is way more. It really is way more. On the other hand, you could also just eat probably way more than it because it's not having as much calories. So in the end, you're consuming the same amount of food. It is more satiating and it is lower in calories. It's insane. And that's only by the food choices we make. Of course, in the end, it's quite calories in, calories out. But make smart food choices. Make smart food choices. Don't eat high calorie shit. We're also going to talk about that later on, I hope. For example, nuts, to just say it. Nuts are very healthy, don't get me wrong. They're having very healthy fats. Fats being important for hormone production. And I've also noticed that myself. Libido and quite also the feel-good factor when you're very low on fats is not really there. Something to really keep an eye on, at least at my point of view. And I've noticed myself, maybe it's also some placebo shit, I don't know, but I felt the way. But the thing is, if you're eating like a handful of almonds, which is, I think, 30 grams or 15 grams, you're having, I think, 150 fucking calories for 30 grams. This is nothing. But on the other hand, you could eat like 100 grams of popcorn and have the same amount, or even 200 grams, I don't know. And even be more satiated, probably, I don't know. But it is more food. And, filling your gut with something is naturally gonna make you feel satiated compared to just eating less, even though it is the same amount of calories. So making smart food choices is gonna make things just easier. And also, easier in respecting different factors of the whole journey. Like, you're not gonna be as hungry on one hand. On the other hand, it's just gonna make you it's gonna make you feel fuller. whatnot. Like, yeah. Anyway, Holt's Food Satiety Index. Holt's Food Satiety Index is the first of its kind, demonstrating that foods with high fat content create almost instant cravings for more of the same. Thinking about nuts. But I do think that nuts is a bit of a different thing. Anyway, croissants, for instance, had the lowest score of all the foods tested, even though most people think of them as filling. Chips give almost twice as much satisfaction as donuts, and popcorn scored higher than all bran. The very best thing to eat is potatoes, which gave much more satisfaction than the same number of calories in the form of white bread. Fatty foods are not satisfying, even though people expect them to be, says Dr. Holt. We think the reason is that fat is seen by the body as fuel, which should be used only in emergencies. It's stored in the cells instead of breaking it down for immediate use. Because it doesn't recognize the fat as energy for immediate use, the body does not tell the brain to cut hunger signals, so we can go on waiting more or wanting more. Carbohydrates are the opposite. They raise blood glucose, so the body knows it has got enough fuel to be going on with. Overall, the carbohydrates data nibbling best. While protein-rich foods such as cheese, eggs, baked beans, meat, and fish come second and fruit third. But there are big differences between the satisfaction value of foods within the same group. You can't just say that vegetables are satisfying or those bakery products aren't, because there can be twofold difference between two similar foods, says Dr. Holt. We found that bananas are much less satisfying than oranges or apples, and that wholemeal bread is half as satisfying again as white bread. Half as satisfying. No, it's not. I think it was more on a scale, but anyway. And a diet which simply recommends cereal for breakfast overlooks the fact that muesli is only half as satisfying or satiating as porridge. One thing that I'm concerned about is that many people do not know how to interpret these findings properly. The SI scores reflect the total amount of fullness produced by the set 1,000 kilojoule portions of the test foods over 2 hours, i.e. short-term satiety. Although most foods with high SI scores keep fullness relatively high for the whole 2 hours, there were a few exceptions. The fruits were served in very large portions, but fullness dropped off quickly towards the end of the second hour, reflecting the rapid rate of gastric emptying. Oranges and apples and grapes are mainly sugar and water. Many quote-unquote healthy, conscious dieters will eat a meal based on several pieces of fruit and some rice cakes, in Australia anyway, and then wonder why they feel ravenous a few hours later. These kinds of extremely low-fat, high-carb meals do not keep hunger at bay because they are not based on slowly digested carbs, as fruits are not quite, because sugars are digested relatively fast compared to, for example, oatmeal or porridge, which, takes the body a bit longer. But yeah, a dieter would be better off eating a wholesome salad sandwich on whole grain bread with some lean protein like tuna or beef and an apple. This kind of meal can keep hunger at bay for a very long time. One thing that makes a portion of food satisfying is its sheer bulk. You can't eat an awful lot of popcorn without taking in a lot of calories, says Dr. Holt. It may not weigh much, but it makes your stomach feel full just because it takes up so much space. Only about the space, not about the calories, not about anything else, but just about the space, the food volume. This is also one of the reasons why if you want to lose weight, eating high volume and low calories is a good thing to go for. It just is. Of course, you can eat tons of nuts, but then you're going to eat, 500 grams of nuts a day, and then that's going to be it. 500 grams. And on the other hand, you could probably eat, let me calculate that. Maybe it's going to be 2 kilos. 2 fucking kilos. 4 times as much of canned lentils or beans, whatever you prefer. Because they are very, 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 very low in calories, but just very high in volume. A 500 gram of lentils that I, most often eat for lunch when I'm working and I'm therefore on the go. Besides it being healthier than something else, besides the salt, which is, in the water, they are just soaked into. But anyway, it is 530 grams for roughly 500 calories. So it's 100 calories per 100 grams, which is insane. It really is. Fresh lentils, for example, they're having 340, 350, 70-ish calories per 100 grams. Food choices. One thing that makes a portion of food satisfying is sheer bulk. You can eat an awful lot of popcorn, blah, blah, blah. It may not weigh as much, but it feels because it takes up so much space. Oranges come out very high on the index for the same reason, but orange juice probably wouldn't, even though it has the same number of calories. Because it's also about chewing, an orange is going to be chewed more often than orange juice, and drinking your calories in general is not a good idea. Chemical constitutions of foods also make a difference. Beans and lentils, for example, contain anti-nutrients which delay their absorption, so they make you feel full for longer. Roughly speaking, the more fiber, protein, and water a food contains, the longer it will satisfy. But you have to look at each foodstuff individually, and that is why we think our index will be so useful. Something being said about protein. Protein is the macronutrient that is the most difficult for the body to not destroy, but to use quite, Whereas I think quick carbs are going to be the easiest to digest or absorb, or whatever you want to call it, which is also one of the reasons why it makes sense to eat a lot of protein foods. And on the other hand, protein also, just because it is so difficult to absorb, also so difficult to, there's one word and I'm missing it, unfortunately, but if you're eating a lot of protein, it is just gonna make the body work more and therefore burn more calories just by digesting, compared to the other macronutrients. Or micronutrients? Macro. Anyway. Well, there's actually a bit more to it. Maybe I'm gonna go through it afterwards, but let's see what I'm having here as well. Proteins and satiety, implications for weight management, which is a study, I don't know. The purpose of review, to highlight the satiating background effects of proteins and their implications for weight management. The satiating effect of protein is the key play in body weight loss and body weight maintenance thereafter. Specific high protein meals or high protein diets induced satiety require a realistic bandwidth of energy intake, protein concentrations, texture, and timing of assessment of effects. Satiety is nutrient specifically supported by elevated amino acid concentrations, responses of anorexigenic hormones, or protein-induced energy expenditure. Protein-induced energy expenditure. During long-term high-protein diets, sustained satiety, energy expenditure, and sparing fat-free body mass are essential. For effects due to satiety, at libitum energy intake conditions are necessary. Adverse events related to kidney damage may occur with sulfur-containing amino acids, individuals with obesity, metabolic syndrome, and blah, blah, blah. The summary, highly controlled medium-term studies overcoming possible differences due to texture, timing, and macronutrient exchange, and assessing satiety, energy expenditure, and substrate oxidation at the same time needs to be executed with a realistic bandwidth of different types of proteins in overweight individuals in different energy balances. Yeah, this is that one, and I have some other things there. The effect of cinnamon on postprandial blood glucose, gastric emptying, and satiety in healthy subjects. So apparently, cinnamon does not have any effect on satiety, but it can lower the glucose or the response of the body when you're eating something that's that should be spiking your insulin levels, as far as I remember, relatively high, So therefore, if you eat cinnamon, they say 6 grams, could be the case, I don't know. The link to this study or to this article is going to be down in the description. It's from the Oxford Academy, as I'm just reading. And, it is the reason why I'm eating my oats with cinnamon, always. Every single time, just because I know that it is helping with the insulin response that my body gives or makes or whatever when I'm eating something like oats or certain fruits or certain whatever. It just makes sense, which is then about the GI index, which is the glycemic index, which is the amount of, or the spike, the insulin spike that you get after eating a certain food, the higher the score, the higher also the spike is going to be, which is also then about weight gain and weight management and whatnot. But yeah. For the food tests, boiled potatoes are easily the most satisfying. Since beans and lentils are slowly absorbed, they are among those foods that many you feel fuller longer. Other factors may also be operative. Those Grecki thinks that one of these could be viscosity. I'm currently analyzing the results of this index with respect to known determinations of satiety. He writes me, preliminary findings indicate that in their explanations for the various SI ratings for the authors have ignored at least one important factor which accounts for many of the otherwise unexplainable results: viscosity effects. Dry foods such as cookies are more satiating than moist foods like donuts. Foods with high moisture binding capabilities such as cheese, porridge, and potatoes can also increase the viscosity of stomach contents. And which by the way, if you're eating oats, eat them with a lot of water. Just boil them with a lot of water, or just use a lot of boiling water, like 4.5 to 5 times the weight of your oats. You're gonna have a massive meal. It's also not going to taste that bad. Of course, it's going to taste differently. Add cinnamon, it's going to be fine. Or add some low-calorie fruits like strawberries or some other berries. Berries in general, pretty nice. Also, relatively nutrient-dense for the amount of calories that you have to use for eating them. But anyway, gonna end the episode there. So I hope that I'm able to help. I hope that I'm able to just give you some insights and also some, start some thought processes in you. But yeah, gonna see you the next time. Bye bye. Thank you very much.